Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for the warm introduction. It's an honor to speak to fellow freedom-loving Americans. It's going to be fun to follow Joey Gibson. Give me liberty or give me death. A famous word of Patrick Henry. He was fighting for freedom. He believed that if you were not fighting for liberty, fighting for freedom, you were settling for slavery. Patrick Henry made his famous speech in opposition to the ratification of the Constitution. He believed correctly that the original drafting of the Constitution granted too much power to the federal government. He and John Adams were famous anti-federalists who demanded for the limitation of the federal government's authority. He did this in an effort to grant liberty and prevent a return of tyranny. Thanks to this fight by the anti-federalists, we now have the Bill of Rights. Our Bill of Rights does not grant us our rights. We've said this today, multiple speakers have said this. Our rights are inherent birthrights endowed by our Creator. Our Bill of Rights protects us from infringement of those rights by the federal government. As we look around, our rights are being trampled. We have violent opposition to free speech by masked anarchists. Our state is attempting to infringe our right to bear arms with this Initiative 1639, using billionaire funding, out-of-state signature gatherers, and blatant lies, coercing signatures for a semi-automatic rifle ban under the guise of a no grocery tax or $30 car tabs. This is in response to we the people standing up when they tried to do a very similar thing with Senate Bill 6620 just back in this previous legislative cycle. A constitution of government once changed from freedom can never be restored. Liberty once lost is lost forever. This is Sam Adams. We were given a system of government that was designed to be of the people and for the people. We now have a government that has become of the elite and for the special interest. Our schools teach misinformation. They tell half-truths about our Constitution, about our system of government, and they are molding the minds of our children to support the infringement of our rights. Media and schools both neglect the fact that we have a constitutional republic. We do not have a democracy. John Adams said, remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There was never a democracy yet that did not commit suicide. The Constitution is not an instrument for the government to restrain the people. It is an instrument for the people to restrain the government. That again was Patrick Henry. So how do we get our country back? How do we restore our rights and freedoms? It's difficult because since the ratification of our Constitution, which added our Bill of Rights, we've had people, we the people, we've all become complacent. For over 220 years, sitting back and complaining about infringement. Meanwhile, we watch the federal government grow and grow and grow and grow. Every time there's a national crisis, we add a new bureaucracy. That seems to be our response. They that can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. That was Benjamin Franklin. And then Thomas Jefferson warned us that consider the foundation of the Constitution as laid on this ground, that all powers not delegated to the United States by the people, or all powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states or to the people. To take a single step beyond the boundaries thus specifically drawn around the powers of Congress is to take possession of a boundless field of power no longer susceptible of any definition. This was in reference to the 10th Amendment and why it was so important. Now I ask you this, where in the Constitution do we have an FBI? The BLM, MPS, ICE, DHS, Department of Education, HUD, FDA, DEA, ATF. I mean, I can go on about all of the government bureaucracies that we've added, and none of them are constitutional. Now, when was the last time that the ATF did something that preserved your liberty? Or the FDA made sure that we were actually safer from the drugs that we take? Or the DEA use actual research to determine drug class? Or the BLM ensured that land was preserved for use by the people? I can think of 10 assaults on your Bill of Rights for every single thing that they might do that's positive. The FDA does nothing but drive up drug costs, delay the release of life-saving drugs, and stand in the way of free market progress. The DEA maintains that marijuana has no medical uses, but somehow finds that heroin derivatives causing an opioid crisis and powdered cocaine can be used medically. This makes no sense. The BLM has mounted military-style attacks on American patriots for using land that belongs to we the people, all over protecting a desert tortoise. The mounting cover-up of that same operation while touting a kill list of people who've committed suicide while being investigated by this BLM official. Evidence against the BLM in this case was so compelling that the trial was ruled a mistrial with prejudice. Meanwhile, we look at the FBI and the mishandling of the Clinton emails, followed by the witch hunt into Trump's campaign by these same corrupt officials. And then we will not forget, we have the flag, the murder of Lavoy when he was standing up to federal tyranny. When the government fears the people, it is liberty. When the people fear the government, it is tyranny. Thomas Paine. So what do? We have 220 years of adding unconstitutional bureaucracies which trample our 1st, 2nd, 4th, 10th, and essentially all of our rights. And it's escalating. It's snowballing on us. We need to hold public officials accountable. This is not something that we'll be able to do with just one avenue of approach. We do that by replacing our elected officials. We need to elect people who want to be in office to make change for the people, to restore liberty, and we must make sure to educate our youth. The fight is not for us. This is not something we're going to be able to get back by 2020. This is a fight so that we can turn the tide, so we can roll things back, to start getting our rights back, and slowly getting rid of the infringements so that our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren will have more freedoms than we have today. Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death." We need to get that fire back. Yeah. We don't need give me liberty as long as I'm able to remain in the comforts and not change my lifestyle and hang out on my couch. That's not what we need. We need to reignite the passion. It is the duty of the patriot to protect his country from government. Thomas Paine. So here I am. Thank you all for letting me speak. I'll say it sincerely, and I'll say it proudly. Give me liberty or give me death.
Free thought for free people.